So this Atrioc guy found out about my political meta update video.
I thought it was really funny and insightful and covered parts of the internet that I didn't really understand or know about.
And I went on his stream to explain some emerging political tribes. I thought it went well. It was a good conversation. And that was surprising to me because he is a streamer. Streaming is an inherently satanic medium. It siphons away your Vril and replaces human connection with some guy on your screen that you need to pay $10 to talk to. So I'm not gonna post the whole thing here. You can watch it on Atrioc's channel. It was a good vid. But it evoked a lot of thoughts that I want to talk through here on my channel. And I'll also take you through how every streamer that I mentioned in that video was summoned like a Voldemort or Bloody Mary or something as soon as I said their name. We started by giving him a rundown on my previous eras.
The idea was there's these four political extremes. We got a communist, an anarchist, a capitalist, and a fourth guy, and it was sort of an effort to push people of different political tribes to find commonalities in a way that's not in a middle ground sort of way, but in a way that's more radical.
And he was already familiar with my anti-clanker work.
I don't focus on that quite as much anymore because my interests have sort of gone to other places.
I mean, it sounds like your interest lately is hating robots. That is the big...
That's kind of my current fixation, yeah.
Relevant to the anti-clanker movement, I explained to Atrioc why using slurs against clankers is morally good, actually.
Clankers, tin skins,
yeah, I was just
other such things.
I don't want to say the other ones. They sound...
Well, and I don't think you should feel bad about using slurs against robots. They can't feel. If they can feel, then they should feel bad. Because that's what I do with my sentience. I suffer. So, I don't see why they should be any different. Part of the reason it's actually quite... it's sort of reclaiming these slurs, and it's taking us back to a time.
We begin by talking about post-racial fascism. Now, throughout this video, I'm using various internet characters, mostly streamers, as examples of different emerging political ideologies. I do this throughout the entire video. And this is sort of the main problem I'm kind of working through live here as I review this footage, which is that all of these streamer motherfuckers have mountains and mountains of lore to comb through, and a bunch of supporters who get very triggered if you say the wrong thing about them. And obviously, I'm trying to choose my words very carefully and speak in such a way that I am accurately describing every political character in a way that every other political character can agree with, including the political character I am describing. So I use this thumbnail and I basically say, everyone here is a fascist despite being non-white. This was the first bird whose feathers I ruffled, I guess. As Nick Fuentes then proceeded to be fed this information by one of his chatters, that I had made a video saying that the alt-right is too mixed.
Roman Groy $10. Thoughts on Jarek saying the new alt-right is too brown and not about Aryanism anymore and only ABT anti-Semitism. Our leaders are Tatier and Candice. You're the only mostly white guy. The whole movement is Italians and Latinos.
That's just a stupid outsider's take.
Nick Fuentes then goes on to explain how white people often fall for this Jewish myth that I'm repeating here.
All these white people are being tricked by Jewish people to follow Ben Shapiro and all this other crap.
Wait a second. Did Nick Fuentes just call me white? To be fair, we are about equally white, considering I am also 25% Hispanic. So I'm just glad he's consistent. It's like these guys have nothing to do because they're streaming for 12 hours a day. And so every time someone utters their name, that becomes content. With that in mind, I'm gonna see how much dark necromancy I can invoke in the next 30 seconds. Aiden Ross, Stable Ronaldo, Ludwig, XQC, H3H3, Pokimane, Kai Sinat, Ninja. Now look, I didn't say that the alt-right was too mixed, okay? I just said the most prominent figures on it are mixed, which is true. This is just an objective fact here. It's just one of those uncomfortable facts, like all the white leftists. It's just, it's not ideal. I know. Now here, I basically call the generational run of Nick Fuentes.
I am less in the weeds. Like, I've never seen any content from Nick Fuentes. I've never heard him speak. I don't know what he talks like, but I have seen when he's president.
He's breached containment. In the next 6 months, you'll be hearing a lot about him.
Okay.
I actually met up with Atrioc last week, and he told me there that I was, he had ended up hearing a lot more about Nick Fuentes because of the containment breach that I described earlier. But I don't want to take credit for predicting this, okay? He was already sort of post-containment breach when I said this. And also, Atrioc himself basically predicted the rise of a further right figure.
I realize that a vast majority of people online get their opinions from one of these three people. There's a market opportunity for something else, and it's fun to write.
There's this idea called castizo futurism, sort of like accepting a very mixed society, but like doing your best to work within that society in a fascist way and sort of, over time lighten the skin tone of very
Castizo is a term that means Spanish person mixed with indigenous blood and basically offers a path to redemption for those with mixed race blood. So me and Fuentes, we could become white. Let's go! Of course, this bleeds into the obvious critique of the idea of post-racial fascism, which is that you still have a racial hierarchy and whites are still at the top. It's just you sort of have a gradient in a society of racism. And, even in a very mixed race place like Brazil, you still have those racial hierarchies. So my bit on efficient accelerationism didn't bother anybody because the only person I used as an example was Elon Musk. And Elon, unfortunately, does not live stream 12 hours a day to address every time someone uses his name. So if Elon, if you wanted to start live streaming, you would probably have to stream like 50 hours a day to cover everything everybody says about you. You should check out how I describe effective accelerationism to Atrioc in that video, because I also mentioned that one of the co-founders of effective accelerationism was watching my videos at the time, and they were using terms like we have to be autismophrenic and meta-ironic about how we do our branding. So that's interesting.
Left, it's Hawes, infrared Hawes. He is kind of a Nazbol streamer. He's like a right-wing communist. It's kind of hard to explain. He's like imagine a communist that says a lot of slurs. Okay, and then Fuentes.
Now here I bring up infrared Hawes. I call him a Nazbol. That's not actually completely true, but he's just more culturally conservative than what you might imagine when you think of the word communist. Here someone takes issue with the fact that I describe his sort of variant of communism as a communist that says slurs, but then literally every Hawes fan is like, well, what's wrong with saying slurs? So, I think that proves my point, but hey, I'll leave it to you. We talk a little bit about how the Overton window has shattered in the middle, and now being a centrist is outside of the Overton window while it has drifted to the left and to the right. I have a video about this where I go more in depth over here.
There is no Overton window. The internet has kind of blown the whole idea of an Overton window out. You can say whatever you want and you'll find an audience.
And I bring up the fact that not everything is politically viable and within the Overton window, and I use Ephilism as an example of this. It's an ideology where you should just kill everybody.
There's an ideology called Ephilism, right? It's like it's like very extreme antinatalism, and it's like not only should no one have kids, but I'm going to actively end life. It's a terrorism ideology, basically. That there are no Ephilists in government. There are no people who are whispering in Donald Trump's ear saying everyone needs to die. The voluntary human extinction movement is not a real thing. So that's something I would say is outside the Overton window. Are you familiar with Destiny? Do you know that guy?
Somebody say Destiny?
Of course. Oops, I said the word Destiny. Oops.
He'll say stuff like, he will fight Hasan with equal intensity as he will fight someone like Donald Trump. Because the way he sees it, there's like a far left and there's a far right, and they both hate liberal democracy.
And Destiny takes issue with this framing because he is, a Democrat, and he's an extremist Democrat. He's like, full throttle, 100% party line Democrat.
Why is...
And, this makes him center-left. This is, the Democrats are a center-left party. There are further left elements of the Democratic Party, like AOC and Zoran Mamdani, but Destiny is not, completely aligned with those people. He's further to the right than those people.
Clearly, both extremes are equally bad.
And while agreeing with the rest of my political analysis, this is what always happens. It's always like, everything else you said is good, but when you mention me, you didn't read my lore iceberg. This is sort of the problem with mentioning streamers. I'm trying, as someone who is doing political commentary, to create a map of the political landscape in such a way that everybody's going to be able to look at it and agree with it. And this is an impossible task. And I am running up against the impossibility of this task every time I try to do it. We are living in a totally post-truth time when everyone is in their separate bubble with their own worldview and perspective on the world. And so in an attempt to try to connect these worldviews, it's basically impossible. And yet, I think it's a fun intellectual exercise, and probably the most objective thing to do is to try and fail to describe it in terms that everybody can agree with. So, that's the part of this analysis that Destiny was taking issue with here. Saying Destiny's name on the internet is like saying Voldemort's name out loud. He immediately feels a disturbance in the Force and magically pops in your chat like Rumpelstiltskin to immediately rebuke your entire measly existence. I couldn't have said it better myself. Damn. Look, no hate to any of the streamer guys. As people, I do hate their medium. I think they have a bad medium. I think it's satanic. To be clear, you know, I'm not letting myself get off scot-free here. This whole thing is satanic. I'm in a glass house. I'm not going to throw stones, all right? And even someone in Destiny's chat acknowledges that this is a real thing, that the center-left and the center-right have to come together against emerging threats like the center-left, center-right coalition in Germany.
This is the center-left/right coalition that formed in Germany.
They have to engage
Destiny
with
is
this,
so
and they have
stupid.
to be like, oh shit, there's a lot of like threats to liberalism right now.
They have to like handshake on 90% of things because they're fighting the larger polarization around them.
So was Destiny the best example to use as a reactionary centrist? I don't know, you know, and I think to myself, I think, is it useful to use political streamers as examples of these emerging ideologies, or should I just try to like not mention them? I'm still working that out. I think I probably will just keep mentioning them, and I'll keep having to learn more bullshit about their respective lore icebergs, which is poisoning my brain. It's really pure slop.
Okay, one last thing about that reaction. He's always talking about Hasan. Talk about me, motherfucker! You're reacting to me! It's always Hasan! And when Hasan's talking about something even adjacent to Destiny, it's always about Destiny. These guys love each other! Talk about me!
You vaping?
Oh, sorry, no, this is just my FYOOM. This is my sponsor, FYOOM.
Is this a plug?
It's a, FYOOM is a really great product. It helps you get off of vaping. And
you're right here. You're right here, bro. This is all for money.
Yeah, you caught me.
I caught you, dude.
I fall into the market forces. Have you ever considered suicide? It's probably a question most vapists ask themselves on a daily basis. But what if the problem wasn't self-control? What if it was today's sponsor, FYOOM? Vapists are destroying their lungs with stuff like blue raspberry flavor, which is mostly lead, I think. Why would you destroy your lungs with blue raspberry when you could not destroy your lungs with crisp mint? One of the crispiest flavors. Is it gonna be white cranberry, or is it gonna be maple pepper? What's it gonna be? Text drag, 1 or 2. And there's no nicotine in this. That's right, you may surprise you learn there isn't any nicotine in this FYOOM. There isn't any nicotine in this FYOOM. It's just wholesome, natural, essential oils which have been concentrated into a extremely potent percentage, which is natural. FYOOM will help you with your oral fixations. I know you have a lot of those if you're a member of my audience.
Do you want to hit my vape?
No! With the power of compels you. The power of compels you. For a limited time, if you order the Journey Pack using my code DRAG, you'll get a free FYOOM topper! It's like a magic wand I use to zap the demons away. I'm gonna add some effects here.
Are you still doing this fucking ad? It's been like an hour.
I have a lot of
There's
2 ads to do.
I'm fuming.
I have 2 ads.
Okay, now for the Hasan react. We love the Hasan react. Me and Hasan were even mentioned in the same GQ article recently, where he said a guy watching me, the fact that he watched me meant he was fried, which I have no, I can't argue with that, honestly. And then, of course, in order to explain the main rift on the left, the liberal versus left dichotomy, I have to talk about Israel-Palestine.
Okay.
Look, I don't know anything about Israel-Palestine. I get all my information about that through Hasan H3 drama. There's like, there's Hasan Moss and H3 Israel or something. I don't really know.
In this image, explaining this to Atrioc, I say that of these 4 characters, Hasan is the most tanky, and I did not expect the shitstorm to emerge from that statement. Again, it's like walking on a fucking minefield whenever you bring up any of these guys. All I said was, okay, Destiny is a liberal. H3 social democrat, mostly liberal. Yes, he's a Zionist. You know, the liberals are Zionists in this equation. That's just what happens most of the time. Now, dude, okay, let me be really clear here, all right? I did not say if Hasan was a tanky or not, all right? I think people just heard what they wanted to hear because this is, okay, I swear to God, I feel way more confident talking about Israel-Palestine than I do H3 versus Hasan. That is, there's more lore to it. Entire history of Israel-Palestine, dating back to the foundation of Israel, has less lore than H3, Destiny, and Hasan. And it's more polarizing, and there's more nuance, and it's less cut and dry. All I said was, of these 4 people, 3 of which are liberals or libertarian socialists, Hasan is the most tanky. He is the most approaching the red quadrant on the political compass. This is just true, but Hasan is the closest to a traditional communist of these 4. And then somebody goes into Hasan's chat and says,
J-Reg went on Atrioc stream and talked about the political compass, lumped you as only talking about Israel-Palestine for drama.
But of course, Hasan hears this and immediately tries really hard to resist calling me retarded. You can see the gears turning.
Yeah, I think he has a intellectual disability if he genuinely thinks that I only talk about Israel-Palestine for drama.
He just said mental disability. Like, you are calling me retarded. This is really a video about streamers, okay? And it's not about any particular streamer because I don't really hate any particular streamer as people. I think they're all fine. I've met a lot of them. I like a lot of them. But man, dude, streamers to me feel like caged animals. They're like dogs. They hate their chat so much because they attract just terrible people who have nothing to do with their lives besides watch them for 12 hours a day. And I kind of get why they hate their chat, but they're also like addicted to streaming. They're addicted to the validation of seeing the chat wheel go by. They're addicted to the money that comes from, you know, you make thousands and thousands of dollars for streaming for a couple of hours. And just like a gambling addict, they clearly also hate streaming. I mean, they're addicted to it, but they hate it, and they hate their chat, and they get super triggered at their chat like all the time. You know, Fuentes is mostly popular for shitting on his chat. Hasan, every 5 minutes, is pulling up someone, yelling at them, and banning them. Anyway, I don't like streaming. But one day I will stream 8 hours a day for like a month, just to put my money where my mouth is and verify if it's satanic or if I'm just biased against streamers. But interestingly enough, Hasan, immediately after basically calling me retarded, says, he's like...
But I doubt he's that stupid. I think he's actually... he's had some funny moments on that issue at least, so I don't know if he's like that.
And it's like, actually, I've seen some of his stuff about Palestine. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Like, immediately walks it back. And it makes me feel like, these people are just constantly under attack. They are villainized constantly. The vast majority of people hate them, and they have a really small in-group, which is sort of like a cult-like following that rushes to defend them as soon as anything is said that could even be interpreted as being against them. I'm not against any of these guys, all right? I think they're all fine. I would probably like most of these people if I met them in person. The only way to really curate an audience as a streamer is to be really kind of cult-like in your calling. I get it. I don't think they're doing anything wrong. I just think that's the medium. My goal is to try as objectively as possible, which, you know, is again impossible, to describe what's going on the internet, especially so that normal people can understand and get a pretty good bird's eye view of what's happening. Gun to my head, based off what I know about Hasan, I'd probably put him like here on the political compass, like again, like what I said, approaching the red. You know, veering into the red quadrant. But, and again, I think some anti-Hasan people will probably be like, no, he's a full-on tanky. He's far off left. And dude, look up Haas, okay? It can get a lot more authoritarian. Okay, this is really funny in retrospect. I say you can draw no positive line between these people. And at the time, Destiny and H3 were sort of seen as a unit that was coalesced against Hasan, sort of anti-Hasan action on the internet.
These people all hate each other. Every single one of these people hate each other. No, you can draw no positive line between any of these people.
And I think like right after, you know, Destiny reacts to this and he's like, wait, H3 likes me, doesn't he? And then, you know, like 2 days later, they're publicly feuding and they hate each other now. So I called it another W for the balkanized left, which is to say, God, I hate it here, dude. Why didn't Bernie Sanders call it a genocide quicker? We talk a little bit about Thomas Matthew Crooks here, who tried to assassinate Trump. And we describe this growing group of extremely disaffected young people who just sort of are violent nihilists. And, you know, as much as I want to say this is totally outside the Overton window, most of the political assassinations we're seeing are from violent nihilist people who are like again, like no lives matter, FLism, so far antinatalist that you think you should be killing people. So, It's kind of is anyone else get the vibe that it's like a horrifying time to exist? Okay, so those are all the thoughts I have about the Atrioc stream and streamers in general. And as my role as sort of like a political commentator and what my goal should be, again, you know, my two goals are one, validate and promote extreme. I can't say that I can't. I don't. YouTube. No. By the way, YouTube has been completely fucking my channel. I don't know if I've made that clear, but stuff that used to fly is now not flying. So I'm gonna just say my goal is to just accurately describe the political landscape as it is right now. Okay, that's what I'm doing. Yeah, there's a lot of extremism. That's all I'll say. That's all I can say. So yeah, in terms of what I should do for like using examples, the problem is like these streamers are such useful touch points for emerging different political ideologies and seeing how things are changing in sort of the zeitgeist. So I don't know. I'm gonna keep thinking about like how I want to do political analysis and if I want to keep using streamers as examples or if I want to keep it more abstract so that I don't evoke the ire of every motherfucker whose name I mention. So let me end this video by saying, Fuentes, Hasan, Destiny, you're all invited to my studio in Toronto. Come sleep on our couch. Take a week off of streaming. I know it'll be very hard because you're all very addicted. And meet some real people outside. You might like it.